to the first DSPN Baseball Tonight broadcast for Devon Stratford Little League. Now, during the entire broadcast, you can watch the 2006 Majors draft results on the bottom of your screen at the DSPN bottom line. Now, though, we're going to start off with a look at last year's final record standings. Again, these are the records, not necessarily how the teams finished in the playoffs. You see there, the Twins would end up getting the championship, and the Athletics would end up playing them after beating the Diamondbacks with a walk-off home run in the semifinals. However, let's head over to some of the draft picks from the 2006 draft. We'll first take a look at the Twins, as we have a couple of two tens there. C. Dolente and Pritchett, both being 10s. They would also pick up 3 12s and 2 11-year-olds. The Twins had to take a lot of draft picks. This may end up hurting them later down the road, as we'll look. If you take a look at their roster now, they ended up having a total of 5 returning players this season, so only 5 from the previous championship team. And that's fairly strong. They may end up doing alright in the playoffs, but we'll have to see, as there's still a lot of season ahead of us, and they haven't even started practicing yet, so a lot of this may end up to being the coaching for this team. Now let's take a look at the Royals, who only ended up having 2 returning players. You see they had a lot of draft picks, definitely the most in the draft, but they would pick up a strong amount of 5 10-year-olds, 1 11 and 4 12-year-olds. As you see, M. Girolamo there, the coach's son, and we pick up 2 sets of brothers, the Bournes and the Coes, both of which are all 10-year-olds. So that could be an interesting combination there. As we take a look at their roster, not much different from their rookie sheet. As you see, they have the 2 returning players, Jay Smith and T. Foreman. And as you can see, it'll be a lot of coaching this year. It doesn't look super promising for the Royals, as that it'll be a lot of players to try and get ready for the playoffs. It could be very difficult, but they may end up faring well towards the end of the season. If we go over and take a look at the Reds, you can see that they only had 5 draft picks. That's 5 total draft picks, so they'll have a lot of returning players, as you see. And they also picked up A. Dirks, the only 9-year-old in the draft. Again, he's the only 9-year-old to be selected in the draft, and he will be selected to the Reds. And we also will now take a look at the entire roster this year. As you see, maybe a couple familiar names. Rossi there on the bottom, well, the coach's son, and he will be a returning player. Heron, who also fared well last year, and Arpa and Bevan, both known for their talent. The Reds look like they have a strong team, have a very good shot here to go deep into the playoffs and do well in the season. Now head over to the Giants. As you see, they also had only took 3 people in the draft. They had a lot of returning players. As we see, Murphy, seeing that C. Murphy, his brother R. Murphy on the team already, and C. Clayton there, an 11-year-old, and A. Silverstein, a 10-year-old. Now let's take a look at the entire roster. As you see, Van Ostenbridge there, also the coach's son. He's a very talented player, good in the infield. And A. Brown, another familiar face. And they also will have a lot of returning players, so they also look to have a very strong team. We hope they can also go deep in the playoffs, but again, there's not much known at this time about these teams. They haven't even started practicing yet. And they hope to be practicing very soon. Now let's take a look over at the Diamondbacks schedule, who had a very strong team this year, and who was also favored to win the championship this year, a couple seasons ago, due to their high amount of draft picks and talent of these draft picks. But last year they made a very good run for it and lost, as I said earlier, in the semifinals to the Athletics from a walk-off home run. It was a very devastating loss for them. They hope to come back this year with many of their star players from last year playing on the team again this year. But if we take a look at their 3 draft picks, Ian Wilson, coming straight out of AAA, he looked good. He'll be an 11-year-old this year. He did pretty well down there. Martirana, as you see, and Cardinals, a 10 and 11. 3 fairly strong draft picks for the Diamondbacks, and I would pick them to do very well in the playoffs and make it hopefully to the finals. But we'll have to see as the season goes on. Head over to the Cardinals now. see their draft picks, they would end up taking a total of 6 draft picks, 2 10s, 3 11s, and a 12-year-old, Newmar being the 12-year-old. And this looks like they all have fairly strong draft picks. And we head over to look at the entire roster now. They would have a total of 6 returning players, and so they should do alright. Not very strong returning group, not a very large returning group, but all the same, a decent size. So they may fare pretty well. We'll have to see as the season goes on. As I've said, with most of these teams, all these teams we're going to have to take a much closer look at, and we don't have a lot of information on them now. And we head over to the Braves now. Ironic thing with the Braves, they would end up taking 5 draft picks here, and all of them being 10-year-olds. And they also picked up Nathaniel Rome, who also fared very well in AAA, and he'll be a player we'll be trying to look at a long time. He had an older brother, Henry Rome, who also played Demonstrator Little League, and was a fairly good player himself. So they have a lot of strong draft picks here, 10-year-olds, and they'll have a lot of young players now. We take a look at the returning team, which you can't see if they're the returning players' ages. But all the same, the Braves look like they'll have a young, talented squad, and they should be able to make it to the playoffs, possibly the second round if they're lucky. We'll head over to look at the Athletics now. Take a look at the Athletics here. They had to take quite a few draft picks themselves to fill their roster, as they would take a total of 7. It'd be 3 10-year-olds, 3 12-year-olds, and 11-year-olds. Mr. Beats. And that looks to be a fairly strong team themselves. And now we'll take a look at their entire schedule. Philly Carraher and Gallagher. Gallagher, a very talented, quick infielder. And Matthew Hurricane. So those are the rosters and the rookies for the 2006 majors of Devon Stratford Little League. And we'll hopefully take a much more in-depth look at them a couple weeks down the road, possibly in a later edition. We hope you enjoyed this edition. We hope to have more highlights, and we'll continue to have more highlights later in the season. But that's all we can provide you for now. Reporting from DSPN Studios, I am Sean Wagner. We hope to see you next time.